Kia ora whānau, and welcome to another episode of Get a Job and Get Healthy with Costas Enterprises. Today's going to be a little bit different to normal episodes. I'm actually going to veer off topic quite a bit. Just let you know that I am currently away on holiday. I am going to be talking about my holiday and what I've sort of discovered about myself, as well as places that you might want to go as well. Now, because of course of COVID, we are sort of stuck within New Zealand, although the Trans-Tasman bubble has actually appeared apparently, where we can go to Australia. But for me and my partner, we decided we were going to go down to Queenstown. Now, for those that don't know, I live in Wellington in New Zealand, which is sort of the centre of New Zealand. And it's also where the government and all that sort of thing mainly operate out of. It's where the Beehive is, and it's where Lord of the Rings, some of that was filmed. And Queenstown is known as sort of like the adventure capital of New Zealand. I'll be honest, I've never been down to Queenstown, and from what I'd heard about Queenstown, I didn't actually want to go to Queenstown. Part of that was because of everything being, extreme bungee, extreme this, extreme that, and that never really appealed to me. But the other thing that I used to think as well was that Queenstown was really expensive. During COVID, however, there's actually a lot of cheap things on with Queenstown. So this isn't going to be a complete pump of like, hey, you should go to Queenstown. Everyone needs to go to Queenstown. Look, if you're a Kiwi and you've never been, you got to give it a look. I'm just going to say that. It is truly remarkable, truly beautiful. We are lucky enough to be staying in an Airbnb, which again is a first for me. I think I've been spoiled because I've got really, really fantastic hosts. Everything is immaculate, and the place is really, really lovely for the price that we're paying, which is crazy considering how much accommodation can be down here in Queenstown. Sometimes you can look at close to $200 a night. We are looking at around $50 to $60 a night. So as you can imagine, between me and my partner, being close to $25 to $30 each is very reasonable for us. Now, the thing that's made this trip sort of fantastic for me is it's been the first time that I've sort of gotten out of my comfort zone with driving. For those that don't know, I am not the biggest of drivers. I never was. I stayed on a lunar license in New Zealand for about 21 years. I know, kind of crazy and kind of pathetic as well. But unfortunately, a lot of Kiwis do that. So I recently got my restricted license in February last year, and was getting ready to take my full before COVID hit, and then COVID hit and I was not able to. I did fail my restricted once, and I've also failed my full once as well. So that said, from what I hear from a lot of Kiwis, that is a normal thing to fail your restricted and your full at least once. And that's because the grading is pretty high. But because of that, when I got my restricted license, because of my partner, she has helped me grow, and she has helped me go further beyond my usual capabilities that I wanted to, and that includes things like driving. Before, I used to hate driving on the motorway. It was something that frightened me, I'll be honest, and now I can drive quite comfortably on the motorway, which is good. And down here on the South Island, we were lucky enough to hire a car. Now, usually, most rental places will only rent a car to you if you have a full license. We were lucky enough to find one that doesn't, which is Go Rental in New Zealand. And because I am an AA member, we got a week's worth of the car, including insurance, including, if we needed snow chains and all that sort of stuff, for around about $450 for a week, which is really, really good. working out to be about $65 a day. And because of how much we saved on flights as well as the Airbnb, really, really great deal. And so usually, if I had a car or something like that, I wouldn't venture out too far. But one thing I realised when I was down here in Queenstown is it's actually pretty central to, like, it is called Central Otago for a reason. And we have definitely got our money's worth out of the car, let's put it that way. We've filled up the tank 3 times now, and we have travelled from Queenstown down to Wanaka, which is beautiful. We've also travelled to Tiano, where the lake is, and like there's quite a few lakes around, but really, really beautiful, even though the weather wasn't fantastic that day. We've also travelled to Mount Cook, which I will get on to Mount Cook very, very shortly. That was some really, really cool feelings and emotions that came up because of that. And today we actually travelled down to Invercargill, and also to Bluff. So for those that don't know, with New Zealand, we're currently in the South Island. Now Wellington, as I talked about, that's actually in the North Island. Okay, so I'm on a completely different island of New Zealand, and because of where Queenstown is, it's very, very close to the bottom of the South Island. Now, as I said, this is my first time in Queenstown, Queensland's Australia, but in Queenstown, and today we went right down to the very, very bottom of the South Island, as far as you can go by car anyway, and that's in a place called Bluff, Stirling Point, and there's photos and all that sort of things. I will probably, so for those that don't know, I also have a blog post which will be in the description, and in the coming days, probably when I get back to Wellington, I will write a new blog post about exactly what we're talking about, and there will be photos on there so you can see what I've been doing with my adventures, and we will cover things like the Mount Cook and being down south and the very, very bottom, so I will throw those photos in there as well. And tomorrow we will probably go back to Wanaka, because we didn't spend much time in Wanaka. We went to sort of Arrowtown, which is a town which is based in historic times. So, you know, you do things like panning for gold, which they did when they came over here. There's a Chinese settlement, and it's about 15 minutes out of Queenstown. And that was the first sort of venture out, is when we went out to Arrowtown, and then we sort of looked at the time and thought, you know, it's only maybe 60k more kilometres, for all those Americans that deal in miles. We deal in kilometres here, and the 60k's was over the massive hill, or mountain should I say. And I mean, the one thing that you will see from some of the photos that I will post on my blog post is how beautiful this area is. Wellington is pretty spectacular as well, but this is a different kind of beauty down here. The stillness, the nature, it is literally like looking into a place where there is no pollution, it's the way that you want the world to be. For example, today when we were having dinner, we went down to the sort of the lake edge of Queenstown, and while I was eating my burger, a Ferg burger, for those that know, we literally looked into the water, and you could see the bottom of the water, which is, it wasn't too shallow, but you see giant fish and eels literally just floating about 2 meters away from you. Ducks all around you and lots of things. Like, it is pretty amazing, let's put it that way. And the one thing I sort of want to get on and talk about is how much this trip has sort of helped me grow a little bit. The way I'll frame this is quite simply talking about doing firsts. So for me, it was my first time renting a car, first time down in Queenstown. And those things are reasonably big for me because I never sort of thought about it. I also never thought I'd have the courage, as I said, to drive to places where I'd never driven before. It took me, well, as I said, 22 odd years to be able to drive quite far. And when I say quite far, my last trip this long that I drove up the North Island, which I was reasonably familiar with because I'd driven or had been driven by someone on the North Island roads, was earlier this year, and it was up to places like Coromandel, which again is beautiful as well. But that was a long drive itself, and it was a bit harder to drive on those roads. Very busy, people passing you all the time, trucks everywhere, and we're not talking like, vans, we're talking trucks, big logging trucks and stuff. And while there were some of those today, overall, most times when we've been driving, it's been pretty clear. There's been pretty much no one on the highway. So when you're driving around 100 k's, 100 kilometers per hour, and you see just scenery, no cars, no pollution, no rubbish, no nothing, it can be quite overwhelming when you realize how beautiful this country is, as well as how beautiful the world can be if everybody just does their part. And I'm not going to get into, we need to do this, we need to recycle, and what sort of hippie type talk. But it does make me think and reflect about, the things I used to do, which I definitely won't be doing anymore, after seeing what the world can be like based on the fact that people doing their part. And that's not to say that we didn't see, things like some pollution. There was some pollution, and there was some, steam and all that sort of stuff. But overall, this area is pretty spectacular and very beautiful. So as I was talking about firsts, as I said about the first time renting, first time driving, I got a sense while I was driving with my partner, who, I'll be honest, gives me strength. She gives me so much strength. She has that one thing in me that I didn't have for a long time, and that is belief. She believes I can do things. She believes that, I'm capable, which I didn't believe and haven't believed for a long time. Part of the reason I started these businesses and also these podcasts, the blog, was because of her belief in me. And so when it comes to things like driving, she knows that I'm nervous, but she believes in me. She has confidence in me, and that gives me confidence. And so I was able to drive on roads that I'd never been on before, on narrow, winding corners where I didn't know where I was going and how fast I was going, and also, the massive logging trucks and things that come around the corner where you can't see them. And so, a lot of it was having the confidence to know, what, I can do this. And in turn, for once, instead of someone suggesting, hey, why don't we go here? I was the person taking control and going, hey, where we should go? We should try to go here. Would you like to go here? And of course, 9 times out of 10, my partner is going to say, yes, let's go. And one of the things that was so shocking to me was, even though I'd sort of dismissed Queenstown for a long time. Like, I honestly thought I will probably never in my life visit this place. There are other places within this area where I thought I would never visit, and not in a lifetime. One of those was Aoraki, or Mount Cook. Now, for those that don't know, Mount Cook is New Zealand's highest mountain. And it was spectacular. The road, the view, just getting there is one thing. But then looking at a mountain and thinking, oh yeah, this is Mount Cook, wow, this is huge. And then realizing that no, the mountain over there is Mount Cook. And wow, if this one seems huge, then that one must be massive. I don't usually find myself taking time to reflect and think about my life. But if you ever do get a chance to go to Aoraki or Mount Cook, as you go up, there is an area on Sir Edmund Hillary, and Sir Ed has always been sort of a hero of mine. I studied him when I was at intermediate school, and even did a little play about him, dressed as him and pretending to be him. So I researched it, I did all the things that I was supposed to, and this was before he died. And if you go up to this thing, there's the main sort of chateau or hotel where you can go for food and all sorts of things. But on the right hand side there's a cafe, and there's also like the Sir Edmund Hillary archives. And you go in there, and there's, as soon as you walk in the door, there's another little side door where you can go out onto a sort of a patio, and there's a statue, a bronze statue of Sir Ed, and he's sort of just standing there looking, and he's looking at Mount Cook, but he's also looking at the other three mountains that are beside Mount Cook. Now, if you read the plaque, it basically talks about how the image is actually, the bronze statue is actually of an image that was taken years ago when he was young, and it's effectively in the exact same spot as where this statue is now placed. And I sort of found myself sitting there thinking, looking, because I was in this little area by myself, and there's a little bench where you can sit down, and so I sat down and I just looked where he was looking. That's when I realised that I was looking at the wrong Mount Cook, and I'm using quotation marks here, and I saw the real Mount Cook, and it got me thinking, like, I never thought I would be here. I never really had any appeal of mountains and stuff, nature in general, really. Like, I was like, oh wow, this is beautiful, but I never really took it in. And a deep wellness of some mixed emotions. One was sadness, one was a yearning to do more with my life, to do better. And the other one was just, sounds weird, but pure wonder. Like, wow, I'm at the foot of effectively the biggest mountain in New Zealand, the highest point. I can see the highest point of New Zealand from where I'm sitting. And I realised how small we are. Like, I've felt this way before. Other times when I sort of look up at the stars and really look, like just sit there and look, and I contemplate what I've been doing with my life, and I realise that I've grown, and while I may have wasted the earlier years of my life, I no longer want to continue wasting those times. And while I've sort of come to this realization over the last year, it really sunk in even more while I was just sitting there looking at the statue that's looking at Mount Cook, and then looking past the statue and seeing Mount Cook, and just thinking what I'd viewed that day, just the pure beauty of the lake looking over Mount Cook, just the road, looking at baby calves and baby sheep that have only just been born a couple of months, maybe a month ago, and just feeling like, wow, we are just a part of something huge, but we don't really matter as much as we think we do. So why do I hold on to shit that weighs me down, things that depress me, things that make me feel bad? So I reflected for probably about 20 minutes until someone came in, and then my partner came as well. But it did hit me, and it was a wash of emotions. And I felt, I started to think about, imagine all these sheep that, they're happy just sitting there grazing on grass, not really knowing the scope of the fact that, where they sit, where they eat, where they lay, where they sleep, and what we see of how beautiful the surroundings around them are. To them, they're just thinking, oh yep, just a regular day being where I am. Oh look, there's Mount Cook there. Oh look, there's the Remarkables, which is another set of mountains around here in Queenstown, for example. But just seeing them think about that and not really have to do much else, really. They're surrounded by this nature and this beauty, and when you come from a city like I do, where I was born and raised in a city, it can hit you quite hard. It can hit you quite hard about nature. And so one of the other firsts that I had was, of course, pretty much everything has been a first for where I've been. But the other place that was pretty amazing was today. Going to the very south of the South Island. Effectively being as far back as far down south as I can be in New Zealand without going to Stewart Island. Now, for those that don't know, Stewart Island is officially the very, very south of the south of New Zealand, because it's its own little island that sits right down the bottom. And it is sort of treated as more of a wildlife reserve. There's not many people that live there. There's only one boat that goes out every so often. So, it's not easy to get to. You have to book to go over there and so forth. But yeah, it was just heading to the very bottom and knowing that, for people that know about bluff oysters are considered to be a delicacy for most people, and I personally never really liked oysters. Maybe the occasional fried oyster is okay, but raw oysters, can't do it, no way. But here I was in the place where some of the world loves bluff oysters. We export millions of the things, and it just sort of hit me again. It's wow, this is one of the big parts of New Zealand. This is one of our biggest exports. It's things like oysters, it's things like our fruit, our veggies, our meat, our lambs, our beef, our cattle. And down here, down south, you will see a lot of it. And it hits you like how important that stuff is. And with things like COVID, like, how is this stuff getting out? Our farmers are going to be suffering, our horticulture and viticulture industries will be suffering. It's not simple. Like, we can still take the meat, we can still take the milk and all that sort of things, but we can't get it out. We can't export it. And while exports have probably started up again now, it would have been quite hard to see all that during our official 4-week lockdown, 6-week lockdown that we had. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days. It's definitely made me rethink my priorities of what I want to do with my life. It's also made me realise that, I don't take full advantage of every advantage that I have, and I'm going to start doing that. I want to start seeing more of New Zealand. Not being so afraid of some of the things that I have been previously afraid of. Not saying I'm going to be doing bungee jumping anytime soon, but, maybe I will not be such a scaredy cat when it comes to certain things. Overall, I cannot recommend this place enough. I've been to China, I've been to the States, I've been to Australia. I never thought I would feel the same way I feel about a place in New Zealand that I did about a place like New York. It's just a different kettle of fish, but still so unique. It's been pretty amazing. Another thing that I've done recently is on my Facebook, I have been posting these pictures. Not all of them, because I take a lot of pictures. But I've tried to be a bit more engaging on my Facebook with social media. For a long time, I did not post any photos. I would post the occasional Movember photos, which is coming up, where people grow moustaches to help raise awareness for men's, and that is one of the things that I do. But there was a good 10 years where I was not posting many photos at all. People wouldn't even know that I'd spent time in the US because I didn't even post it. Now, the reason for that is due to other people, influences on my life, which made me not do that. But now I've decided, you know what, I'm going to share a bit more. I'm not going to overload people too much, but definitely, while I'm on this trip and while I've been, seeing all of this part of the region, I am posting. And it's only like, I've got about 40 photos on there already into the album. That's 40 out of probably close to 400, 500 photos. And, I'm trying to post funny ones and, cute ones and all that sort of stuff as well. But mostly I'm trying to get across to people how happy I am because of this. I know I might sound a bit, down and pensive at the moment, but truly I am astonished at the beauty that's around me and really loving every little piece of it. every moment has been magical. Is the only way to sort of say it. And that's not just Queenstown. That is all of the places we've been. The food we've eaten has been pretty amazing. I think I've had one place where I didn't really like the food too much, but at the same time, it wasn't the worst meal I've had. But we've had food like the famous Ferg burger, which is Ferg burger. If you don't know what that is, I would strongly suggest looking at checking up a YouTube channel called The Korean Englishman and searching Ferg burger. You will be astonished. The burger is pretty amazing. There are quite a few burgers as well. And I just had my second Ferg burger today, and it was still just as beautiful as the first. We've had Thai food, we've had Vietnamese food, we've had actually a lot of Asian food now that I think about it. And then earlier today we stopped off at a little cafe in the middle of nowhere and had a lamb pie for breakfast. Got to admit, pretty surprised. It was actually really tasty. I've never had a lamb pie before. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty amazing. And the food we've had has been pretty amazing, and that's in different places as well. So it's not like we've just had food in just Queenstown. We've had food at Mount Cook. We've had food at Wanaka. We've had food, at Tiano. We've had food in Kingston. So we've definitely travelled a lot recently. And enjoyed it. Like Arrowtown, we had a lovely meal in Arrowtown. There's a little bakery down there, and they do something called pea pie pud, which for those that don't know is peas, as in the fruit, as in the veggies, pud, which is mashed potatoes, and pie, which is of course a pie. Now, for my American friends, a pie over here is like steak and cheese. Kiwis love our pies, we really do. But they're savoury pies. They're not like pecan pie or anything like that. We do have some soft, some sweet pies, but primarily our pies are savoury. And so having this amazing steak and cheese pie, which is made at the bakery, and everything costing $13 New Zealand dollars, which is about $8 American, and being completely full for the rest of the day was crazy. And this is in a dinky little town called Arrowtown, which, we panned for gold, which is one of the little things that we did. Didn't find any, but the experience was lovely. Lots of photos, so many photos, and a lot of that's me. Walked around the Queenstown Gardens. We did a paddle boat in the middle of the Queenstown Lagoon. We went up the gondola. All these things are sort of one of a lifetime experiences, which I'm so happy that I one, have someone to share them with, but two, actually have the courage to do some of them. It's been a very enlightening experience and trip, and it's been a place where I've started to discover that I have a lot more confidence than I thought about. I do have a lot of love and beauty in my life, and not only do I need to cherish that more, but believe in myself more. So yeah, if you take nothing away from this, please at least take away, start to believe in yourself. This doesn't just go for, print on demand and, doing CVs and interviews and stuff like that. Just in general, believe in yourself. You can do a lot more than you think. And know that there is true beauty out there, even if you're going through absolute shit. Try to focus on the good. Try to focus on the positive. Focus on the things that are bigger than yourself, and don't let the little shit get to you. Try to let it go. It's hard. I know it's hard. I'm not going to lie. But we can do it. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about your experiences. What, if you've had any, has made you go, wow, I didn't know I could do that. I'm so proud I can. Was it an experience like I just told you? Or was it something completely different? Do you have someone that helps you? A partner, a friend, a parent, family member? Or have you just naturally found yourself? Feel free to contact me. DonCostas@gmail.com. That's DON for Nike, COSTAS @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Also, feel free to go along to my website. I've completely redesigned my homepage, so I'd really appreciate it if you give me some feedback, whether or not you like it. Also, play around on some of the pages. Let me know what you think. I'd really appreciate any feedback, actually. Thank you for listening. I know I rambled quite a bit. As I said, I will be posting a blog post about Queenstown probably in the next couple of days, and that will have a lot more photos that you will actually be able to see me having fun and doing stupid shit. Until next time, I just want to say thank you and good luck. And yeah, you're amazing just as you are. Have a great day, people.